there, Comic Clan, and welcome to Comics in the Cross, the greatest streamers you have never heard of. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, as always, Cross, sitting here alongside my partner in crime, the other member of the dynamic duo of Twitch, Nitro.
What's up, good people? How's it going on this fine Sunday afternoon?
How are you all doing today? Thank you for everyone coming to join us today. Hey, so I just realised I'm like so hunched over, and I look like I'm like 3 feet shorter than you. But how are you all doing today? How are you doing, Caleb, over at Mountain Nerds? Good to see you guys.
How are you doing, Cross?
I'm doing very good. I am so tired, but I'm doing good, my man. How are you doing, Nitro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's a really nice day here on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's not
Really,
too
really
bad.
nice.
It's not too shabby today. So I'm actually doing pretty good today. I found out something really exciting for myself. As most of you know, I am a diabetic. I struggle with diabetes. And one of the major things to help counter that is to start trying to drop my weight, as I have been a nice fatty since I was like a kid. And which I always like maintain is like not too bad, because now that I'm, in my 30s, like everybody's starting to get fatter and I'm still the same size. I'm like,
I'm gonna start using that on a regular basis. A fatty, fatty. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I was a fat kid in high school, and now I'm in my 30s and I'm the same size, just everybody's catching up to me now. But literally for the last time I weighed myself, however long ago that was, like I kind of been maintaining like around 265, like 265 pounds. You know what I mean? Not groundbreaking and earth shattering, but still fairly heavy for my size. And I weighed myself this morning, and I'm down to 249 pounds.
Dude, that's sweet.
First time I have been under 250 pounds in as long as I can freaking remember.
Sweet spot update.
Dude, that's awesome, dude.
A member of the
Well, you look at
Clan has
that,
been promoted to
Mr.
the
Locke.
Stan Clan. Excelsior.
Mr. Locksteady coming in with that sub, continuing his run as a member of the Stan Clan.
You're a
Thank you so
beast.
much, Locksteady.
And you are also a beast, Cross, because that is sweet. That's not something to shake a stick at. That's 15 pounds, my friend.
Yeah, man.
That's huge.
That's a big loss for me. Me to be under 250 is a massive, massive thing.
Dude, that's sweet.
Yeah, Lock, been a whole year you've been stuck with us, dude. It's kind of scary, isn't it?
We're sorry.
Kind of scary, but nice at the same time. A year, just enough time for that Stockholm syndrome, that the people that have been here long enough at our channel don't want to leave anymore because they feel like they need to stay here.
You are part of the family, as I hang my pocket watch and dangle it in front of you.
Thank you, Look. I appreciate it. Like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm pretty chuffed with that. Like, getting under 250. Like,
Yeah, dude, that's sick, man.
I've never been one at losing weight. Like, I always try to do the healthy eating, and I always end up falling back into stuff. And I always try to do exercise, and it just never sticks.
Are you doing anything in particular, or?
Honestly, I think it's because we started the new eating, like those like boxes you get delivered to your house, like Hello Fresh and stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
we used to, yeah, we've done that.
They've got one that's actually affordable for real families that they don't need to pay like an arm and a leg to get them.
Yeah.
Called Every Plate.
Okay.
And that's been giving us a lot more stuff. Like the meals are mostly like protein, a lot of different veggies, a lot of different stuff, and
Dude, that's awesome.
the veggies actually taste good, unlike
Yeah.
like we usually shop at like Kroger and stuff like that, and it's the produce sucks. And we're like, wow, these veggies taste really good. I can't work out if they're really good, like the way that they're making us prepare them is really good, or
Yeah.
it's just fresh produce and I'm just not used to it because I've not had it in so long.
So this is what fresh tastes like.
I forgot. This is what
Kroger.
vegetables can taste like if you actually, get them at a reasonable time and not before they, what I mean? We literally bought bananas from Kroger like last week, and before the end of the day, a couple of them had started getting black bits on them.
Yeesh.
Like, it's not even been a day. How?
Come on, Kroger. Trying to sneak into our Tuesday night streams, and you can't even produce fresh produce.
I know, it's like, but honestly,
That works.
that's been the major kind of change, and it's been helping us. So getting that healthier stuff in the diet actually does help.
Dude, that's sweet, man.
But yeah, but I have to proclaim that out there because I'm kind of chuffed at that I managed to pull that off. Hey, Space Hobo, how's it going,
What's up,
sir?
Mr. Space Hobo? What's up, dude? Can't even produce. Come on now.
Exactly, that's how.
What kind of
awful it is.
producers do you think you're messing with?
So we do have a couple of things we're going to talk about today to start off with. For anyone coming in, though, this is our bi-monthly, almost at this point, kind of like indie comic book club, where this week we are going to be looking at Something is Killing the Children from Boom Studios.
Hey, Cross, I see that little wonder over your right shoulder. What is that, sir?
Of
What
my,
is that on the table?
of
Right
my,
shoulder? Left shoulder? Right shoulder? Yeah, your right shoulder.
this, this one here, this one here,
Oh,
this
yeah.
you mean?
What's that one? What's that one, sir?
So, like, as I was saying, we do our indie comic book club on a bi-monthly basis. So we're doing our horror one today, or our Halloween one, looking at Something is Killing the Children. But we've got our end of the year one where we're doing in December, which everyone will remember if you were here for last year's. We did Claws,
Which was awesome.
which is probably by and far still one of my favourite ones we've ever done on the show. There's just something talking about like a Santa Claus that walks through the wilderness with a sword and a wolf fighting the Krampus.
Yeah.
It just really is an enjoyable story just to delve into.
It was so cool, man. Yeah.
But the thing is, I was looking for more Christmas themed ones for this year because, like, if you want to do a Halloween one, there's tons of horror comics out there, but there's not a lot of good quality like Christmas ones.
Yeah.
Out there. There was one that kind of caught my eye, but I wasn't sure about it. I'm like, that looks okay. But like, I didn't want to just do like another volume of Claws because we could have just done the sequel to that.
Yeah.
So I decided, in the Christmas spirit, this year's Christmas book for the Indie Comic Book Club that we're going to be doing in December this year, is going to be because it's a gift to my friend Nitro. So I purchased his copy of it. So it's his actual Christmas gift this year. But it's a book that he's had his eye on for a little while that he's been wanting to check out. So this is kind of the first Indie Comic Book Club chosen by him. I technically did choose it out and recommend it to him, like that we do this show, but this is a book that he wants to do.
Yeah.
This is one he wants to do. This was not on my list of stuff. I've got a ton of comics I was wanting to cover. This wasn't top of the list. Although the more I've looked into it, the more I'm kind of excited to cover it. But we're actually going all the way back to... This is probably the oldest comic we've covered on any comic book club. The rest are all kind of fairly more recent. This one came out... At least the start of it that we're reading came out in 1986. This comic is older than me.
Dang.
Because I was born...
Not older than me.
I was going to say, I was born in 87, so this is older than me. But we are going to be looking at Usagi Yojimbo.
Look at that cover. Look at that cover. That's sick.
This is a series of comics that I believe is still being created today. This has been going for like over 30 years. And massive shout out to Stan Sakai. I hope I'm saying his name right. If I'm not, please someone let me know. Who is not only the writer but the artist of the book. He does get other ones, other people to come in and do colouring for him when there's colours to it. But if you can see, the original is black and white. So this is all Stan Sakai. And Usagi is possibly a character you may recognise, even if you don't know the comic. Because starting in the 80s, he started having little crossovers with some certain Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Who most people, if they do know Usagi, will probably know him from either the action figures of him that were released as part of the Turtles, or the fact he did actually appear in... He's appeared in 3 versions of the Turtles cartoon at this point. He appeared briefly in the 1980s one, the one that we grew up with. Very briefly. It was like a one-off thing. Like something happens and he comes out the TV. They were watching his movie. Second one, there's a bigger crossover in the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, which was a bit longer. And then in the Nickelodeon one, not the most recent one, like where the turtles are all like different turtles and weird, but like the CG one from a little bit ago, there's actually, he appears in that as part of a 3-episode basically mini movie along with the turtles, and which I heard Black Nerd Comedy on YouTube describe as basically what everyone wished that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 had been.
Dang.
Because basically they go back to feudal Japan in a different universe where they're all anthropomorphic animals, which Usagi Yojimbo is. He's a rabbit, in case you couldn't see.
In case you couldn't tell.
It's like they go back to that universe and they fight alongside him. And it was a really highly acclaimed episode. So
Dude, apparently there's a Netflix show coming out
that was the other thing I was going to say. Like last year or something like that, they officially announced that Usagi is going to be getting his own series on Netflix.
Dude, it looks awesome. Some of the screens.
So there are reprintings of the Usagi stuff that is now with IDW are now doing reprints of it. I did look into those because I thought if that's the stuff that's coming out then now it'd be easier to give to people.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't go that road is because it looks like the stories are in a different order. Like Volume 1 from IDW isn't the same as this.
Okay.
So this one that we picked up is Book 1, The Ronin, because
That
Usagi
is
Yojimbo.
big.
Usagi is a samurai, but he has no master, so he is a Ronin. And it's following his story. So that is going to be our December comic. If you want to pick it up for yourself, along with any of the other comics we are covered on in the Comic Book Club, you can use that link there to an Amazon wish list we have created that have got all the books on it. So Usagi Yojimbo is on the top of that list, and we will be covering that in a couple of months, or not even a couple of months, in December.
Dude, I'm pumped.
But today we will be looking at Something Is Killing the Children. Highly acclaimed book. This has been getting so much praise that I had to pick it up and check it out for ourselves.
I had never heard of it until you mentioned it to me. I was very, very, very pleasantly surprised. I'll put it that way.
But before we get into that, we do have a couple of things. There was one big piece of news that I wanted to mention because we never got to mention it last week. Was actually there's been a major piece of casting for the MCU that happened in the last couple of weeks. And that is Will Poulter has been cast as Adam Warlock in the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Dude, I saw that.
I am freaking hyped for this.
Yeah.
I love Will Poulter. I think he's a phenomenal young actor. I think he's proved himself in his acting chops in tons of different genres and movies and TV shows at this point. And
So-
I am excited to see what he does as Adam Warlock.
So I'll be straight up. So when I saw that announcement, I was like, really? That guy? Because I remember him from like not back in the day, but like there was some comedies that he was in and he was just really goofy. He was just a really goofy dude. Like kid, he was like a kid. But then I saw some photos of him more recently and he is like, I think the term "glow up" would be a good term to use for that.
He's
because
looking pretty good in his new
Yeah.
adulthood. You know, since he hit
Oh, yeah.
adulthood, he's definitely looking a bit better.
puberty has done him well. I'll put it that way. So yeah, now that I've seen the updated photos, I can see it now. I can see where they're going with it. I'm pumped. I'm pumped. He is a good actor. He's a really good actor.
Yeah, absolutely, Locke. He did Neville Longbottom us.
He really did, man.
He really did, man.
Oh, stinking Neville. Mr. GQ over there.
You know what I mean? It's like this little, chubby kid grew up into an actual, good-looking guy.
Yeah, because I remember him from We're the Millers, which was like a comedy back in the day. And, yeah. So, but yeah, I saw the most recent photos, and I was like, holy word. Definitely a glow up on this dude. Yeah, I'm
we've
super
got a special guest
excited.
on the show.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Hi. You gonna
What's
join
up,
us?
little dude?
Our kids are not going down, so I'm having to get a guest joining us.
Nice.
Say hello, baby Cross. So not much of a baby anymore. He's almost 1.
What up, dude? What's up, man? I know you can't hear me. I don't know why I'm doing that.
It's alright. He's just enjoying it. I love the fact that just me D was like lurking while relaxing and then completely
baby.
perked up when the baby showed up. This is my new way to get views for the channel. I'm just going to bring the kid on now. Like this is it.
Just hold him up. The view counts just start tripling. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, because apparently Mr. here is not going to sleep, but he's meant to be sleeping. But yeah, so I wanted to mention that Will Poulter's going to be Adam Warlock, so I'm excited to see what he does with this role. Adam Warlock has obviously been highly anticipated. He was highly anticipated leading up to the Infinity Gauntlet stuff because in the comics he is a major player in that.
Yeah.
Obviously that wasn't the case with this. And there wasn't really a place to shoehorn him in to make it work, but I'm excited now that they're really expanding the multiverse and the universe traveling stuff and Marvel. I'm excited to see what they do with them going forward.
Yeah, so I've obviously read the old school Infinity Gauntlet series, so I know a little bit about Adam Warlock. I don't know a ton about him though. I'm really curious to see which direction they go with him in the movie. Like, what's his power set going to be? Like, how big of a role is he going to have? How big of a role is he going to have moving forward? You know. So.
Hoi, stop hitting the desk. Come on, dude. I'm trying to be professional here. Come on. Hey. But yeah, you were also saying as well the fact of that you saw one of the things that came out this weekend that we got a lot of people hyped. You were going to talk a little bit about. We're not going to dedicate a whole show to because we've got our shows are pretty much booked up till the end of the year, more or less.
Yeah.
And Dune isn't something that we're going to cover. It's hyped enough that people know about it, but it's not far enough into our wheelhouse to dedicate a week to it. I didn't feel.
Yeah,
but
so I feel like I need to provide a little bit of context. So I've never read Dune. I had never seen the old Dune. So I heard that the movie is coming out. I thought it looked awesome. I'm a huge fan of most of the cast. So I wanted to read the book. So I've been doing the whole audio book thing, and I got through most of it. And I know people who read the book and then go see the movie say the book is always better. And in this case, it's still true. The book is just way better. So the movie is 2 hours and 36 minutes long. So it's a relatively long. Yeah, it's a relatively long movie. It's on HBO, by the way, if you wanted to check it out.
I need to check it out. I just haven't got to it. It's like I've been busy watching the thing that I'm going to talk about in a minute that's been on a different streaming network.
So like I feel like if you had not read the book and you walked into the movie, I feel like you would enjoy it like immensely. I still feel like you would think that there's something missing, like they don't explain a whole lot. But in my opinion, coming from or listening to the book, not reading the book, there's just a ton of stuff that they cut out that I feel is crucial to the narrative of the story, particularly as it pertains to the main character, Paul Atreides, and his whole journey. That being said, the movie is gorgeous. It's mind-blowingly beautiful. It is awesome. But I feel like it suffers from they spend way too much time on the visuals and not enough time actually expositing the story.
Yeah.
So I would probably give it a 7.5 or 8, maybe out of 10. But I feel like that missing narrative is, I think it really hurts the story. And I feel like they could have just broken this movie up into 3 separate movies because the book is naturally broken up into 3 books. Dune is thick. It's broken up into 3 books, just kind of like Lord of the Rings is. I feel like they could have done a similar structure with the movies, and that would have served the story better. 3 3-hour movies, or 3 2.5-hour movies, however they wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. With something like this, you're cutting out the narrative. Unfortunately, that's always a thing with books. But the only one.
But you look at Lord of the Rings, though. I don't really feel like they cut too much out of the book. The book's 1,300 pages, so they're obviously going to cut some stuff out of the movies.
Yeah, they streamlined
I think they did a really good job.
They made it work, and it's that's the thing, though. It's very hard to pull off. Locke saying as well, Dune is a 84% critic score, 94% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Yeah, I can see it.
So it's definitely on my list to check out. I've heard a lot of people talking about it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know a lot about it beforehand. I knew it was a big sci-fi hit, and I know it's in a sandy place with big worms. It's kind of at the basis of it, but I've never read the book or anything like that. And even watching the trailers, I'm I don't know what's going on. I just know people are talking about this movie.
Yeah,
I'm
I would definitely check it out.
But it's on my list. This weekend though, I wasn't watching that because I started watching Lock and Key season 2 that dropped on Friday. I'm about 4 episodes deep at the minute into a 10 episode series. On Lux saying we were supposed to watch it yesterday, but we watched all of Oat Studios and Midnight Mass instead. Slight difference there, Locke. I thought they were making 2 movies. Don't know, maybe they are. Space. I've not heard anything about a second movie, but I've not been keeping totally up to date with everything.
They are making 2 movies, Space Hobo, but I'm just saying I think they could have split it into 3. I think it would better serve the story.
But yeah, so I started watching Lock and Key season 2. Which I think was fitting to actually start that this week because this week we had the anniversary of our first ever indie comic book club that we did last October, where our first book we actually did was Lock and Key.
Mm-hmm.
You try to read that? It's a bit advanced for you, son.
Huh.
But yeah, it's so we've got to start season 2 of it, and so far it's been fairly solid.
That's awesome.
It's been a fairly solid TV show. I don't want to go into too many details because I know there's people in the chat and stuff that want to check it out for themselves, and it's like and even if you've not checked out season 1, go and check that out also. But it's a good continuation of it, and it's a good advancement of the story, I feel. And we start to explore a lot more stuff, like what looked like was going to be the defeat of the villain last season, and what their new kind of story is. Which is something I'm intrigued now, because I've got volume 2 of the books, so I want to check out volume 2 of that and see where it goes, because they're introducing some interesting concepts now.
Yeah.
The major concepts being, what is, like, why do grown-ups not remember the keys? Why do grown-ups not remember the magic associated with the keys? And as a couple of the main characters start to inch closer towards being 18, we start to see issues taking place of their memories starting to disappear, and the negative effect it has on them, and what that actually pertains to. Along with the villain's new interesting concept of forging a magical key, and how do you forge one of the keys themselves. How do you forge a key, and how do you give it its purpose? Like, you can forge one of these keys in a certain way with a specific metal they found, but like, how do you give a key its purpose? How do you give it the ability to do what it does? So it's some really interesting questions for episodes in. Had a little look at some of the blurbs of what's coming up, just to kind of get an idea, and I think it's going to be a really interesting journey through this. Although I will say this though, I still kind of stand by before, it does make me want to just delve more into the comics.
So
See the route the comics go, because from the first volume to the first season, like, I felt like the comics was a more intriguing, enjoyable story, as much as I enjoyed the show. So it does make me want to go and look at the books a lot more, to see where they go and what the story is there, and if it's a similar idea.
So one of the big issues that I think I had with the show when I started watching it was, I felt like it jumped ahead in the story a lot. Like, even so much so that, like, if you were reading it, it was jumping into volume 2 when I hadn't gotten there yet. Do they, like, in the second season, do they kind of delve back into season 1 a bit, or volume 1? Like, if you're coming from the book side, like, touch on some of the stuff in volume 1. Do you remember?
They touch on a little bit of it, not drastically. Because that's the thing in the book as well. It's like, it makes me kind of think of, like, when we talked about Invincible. Like, like the stuff that, see, like, in episode 1 they drop that Omni-Man is the villain, and drop the fact that, like, he takes out the Guardians of the Globe. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen that yet. But, like, that doesn't happen in the comics until, like, issue 3, or volume 3, sorry. Like, that isn't something that comes up until then, so, like, you have to almost, when you're redoing the show, you have to, like, work it in a different way. Like, volume 1's a great setup in the book, but I don't think you could get away with volume 1 itself as a show for a season. So I understand why they peppered in stuff like the head key, for example, plays a major part in season 1, and we don't even touch that until volume 2 of the book. So there's a little bit of callback to it, but it's more about moving forward. My intriguing thing is to see, like, is this still kind of taking the main narrative of the comic, or is it taking its own direction with it? Because, like, I'm thinking of something like when they redid on Netflix a series of Unfortunate Events. They made it very clear it was going to be a 3-season show, and then it was going to stop. But my thing with Lock and Key is, like, I don't know if it's going to do that. Say bye-bye.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Did he give his input?
Yeah, he's been giving his input. Hold on.
Oh. Thanks.
We dropped it. But yeah, so my intriguing thing is, like, if it's going to continue that way with, like, with the comics is going, or if it's literally going to be a different perspective on it, like, it's going to take its own storyline and just so that they can keep moving forward, or if we're going to, like, wherever the comics wrap up, it's going to wrap up the same sort of story. If that makes sense, But yeah, overall, it's been enjoyable. Like, I'm definitely looking forward to watching the rest of it and seeing where it goes. But it's definitely made me more hyped to go and check out the rest of the comics now.
I picked up volume 2 earlier this year. I haven't delved into it yet, though.
Yeah, I picked up Volume 2 when I picked up a whole bunch of stuff. Like when I picked up something that's killing the children and that, I grabbed Volume 2 Lock and Key then, but I just not had a chance to read it yet.
Yeah.
So it's like I might honestly, because of the show, might be what I delve into next because I've finished Something's Killing the Children now, so it might be my next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, like I think the show's definitely worth checking out, but I would highly recommend the comics. So I still recommend it more. I think the storyline's more enjoyable for me. I find it just, I don't know what it is. It flows better. Which if you want to check out Volume 1 of that, you can go to our Amazon wishlist for our Indie Comic Book Club, as I mentioned earlier, and it'll be on there. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we had any other major news points for this week. There was nothing.
There was one thing. So it was just announced, or it was just dropped. I think it was yesterday or earlier today. Did you see that they posted the first production photo from Miss Marvel?
Oh, I think.
So they showed what her power. They showed what her powers are going to look like, basically.
Oh.
So I know they had talked about this at some point, about how they're going to kind of shy away from the stretchy, whatever they call it, type of power that she has in the comics, and they're going to go for more of an energy construct, a la like Green Lantern. But they posted the photo, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not mad. I think it looks pretty sweet, and I think it's going to differentiate her from once Mr. Fantastic comes on the screen, comes out. It's going to differentiate her from him, and I don't think they have anything like her in the MCU. So, in my opinion, it looks pretty sweet, man. You got to check it out, Locke. You got to check it out. Cross might actually show a photo, but
I'll try to see if I can find one. I think people talking about it actually finding a photo apparently is because it's where like everybody starts to like say, "Hey, we've checked out the photo," and then like people start to just take it down after.
Yeah, come to think of it, I can't find it. I didn't mean to drop that on you, dude. I probably should have.
No worries.
So her power is kind of reminiscent of Photon in WandaVision, like that ethereal type of looking energy, like blue purple-ish type of energy. Here, let me see if I can. I found it. But yeah, so they're gonna kind of start ramping that up. I think I can't remember when this is coming out. It's either the end of this year or the beginning of next year.
I think it's going to be the end of this year. I want to say end of this year. I was intrigued how they were going to do her powers though, if it was going to be like that. Because one of the things is like I was always intrigued with her powers to this was going to be the fact of they've not really introduced the Inhumans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only Inhuman stuff that we've actually seen so far has been in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the Inhuman show that nobody talks about. But they basically like brushed over them. Like even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't necessarily considered canon anymore.
Yeah.
Apparently, which was so funny. I think there was a recent thing of that of like, yeah, Agent Carter and everything that happened in that, although it was tied to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is apparently canon. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't.
I think that's hilarious. I was not a huge fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., to be honest.
It had some really good seasons, and it had some absolutely awful seasons.
Well, it's funny because like I would start watching it and I'm like, I'm not really into it, and they're like, well, just give it one season, and I would give it one season. I'm like, I'm not really into it, and they're like, well, you got to give it at least 2 whole seasons. I gave it 2 seasons. I'm like, dude, I'm just not into it, man.
First 2 seasons were awful. Was it season 3 that they brought in like the Ghost Rider stuff?
Okay.
And I think that worked because that whole season was basically broken up into 3 mini seasons.
Okay.
They were all kind of tied together and had an ongoing narrative around the Darkhold, but like the first season was Ghost Rider, then the second part of it was like the life model decoys, the LMDs. And then the last season of it was like a... What's the word I'm looking for? It was like a network thing they were plugged into that made it look like they were all agents of Hydra.
Oh.
So when it done that sort of stuff and it was shorter seasons, like shorter element storytelling, I felt like it did a lot better. But like I just kind of like I've not even seen the last season. Like it took a hiatus for like the Infinity War and the Endgame stuff, and then it came back for like a final season. I've still not watched it.
I mean, I like the idea of there's a TV show that's tied into the larger universe, so that was their first foray into that, right?
Yeah, but after season
like
1, it's like the whole season 1 was basically Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and by the end of season 1, Captain America Winter Soldier happened and S.H.I.E.L.D. folded.
Yes.
And they basically went, no, it's still there.
Yeah.
But like the whole of Marvel is just not going to acknowledge
Marvel was like,
it.
no, it's not. Hey, dude, I sent you the picture, by the way, in Discord.
Oh, sweet.
If you wanted to pull up Miss Marvel. Yeah, I couldn't get into it. I think I watched all the way to where Grant was the villain. And I was just like, man, it's just, I can't get into it,
okay,
man.
yeah, I see that now.
I couldn't find the whole picture, but that's basically the gist of it.
That's cool though. I can see that working as a thing, and I'm doing something with that because I'm intrigued to see. As I was saying with her, that was what got me on the rant. Was like she's an Inhuman in the comics, but the Inhumans have basically been brushed away. So I'm like, are we going to say she's just got a power? Are we saying is she a mutant? Is she?
Yeah.
You know, what's the giveaway for it here? So I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
But,
I'm posting that photo in our Discord for those of you who are following on our Discord. Which shout out! I don't have my chat bot up, but yeah, I'm gonna post that photo in our Discord so everybody can check it out.
you can just type it in Discord, dude. You don't have to have chatbot up.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah, it's like as long as I've got it running on the thing, anybody can type it in.
Sweet. But yeah, man, and then obviously Disney Plus Day coming up on the 12th. Hopefully, we'll get our first look at Moon Knight, which I'm super excited about.
That'd be cool. One thing I was going to say as well, speaking of Disney Plus stuff, they dropped a new poster. I don't know if you've seen it for Hawkeye, just this morning.
Dude, I did. It was a homage to the comic.
Yeah, homage to Matt Kent's comic, which is basically considered like the ultimate Hawkeye run, pretty much, like the definitive Hawkeye run ever. So it's like it's kind of cool. It's a little. I hope we get some Moon Knight stuff. That would be cool if we did.
Locke, you and me both, dude. You and me both. Somebody asked if we had seen the behind the set scenes for Spider-Man: Far From Home. I saw there was 2 production photos that I saw.
Yeah, I saw 2 production photos for it. One of them was him running away from Doc Ock.
Yeah.
And then the other one of him posing, and a lot of people are saying it looks a lot like the warehouse from Spider-Man 2. Like from the final fight. So I'm like, is there's going to be like a little bit of a crossover to those?
Huh.
I don't know if it's going to be kind of crossing over with that stuff at all. It'd be interesting if it did. It could literally just be a warehouse, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. Like the set photos didn't give as much that I didn't already know, unless there's other ones I missed.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get me more hyped than that last trailer did, I don't think.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Unless they literally drop a trailer like showing Green Goblin and not just having his laugh, or showing some of the other Sinister Six actually being there.
Yeah.
Or like obviously, you know, Toby and Andrew actually showing up in full Spider-Man gear. Like unless you show that stuff, there's not much you're going to show me that's going to get me hyped for it as much as the last trailer.
You really think they're going to do that money shot in the next trailer? So Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. You really think they're going to do that?
If I was going to bet money on it, I think they would.
Man, as much as I want to see them, man, I really hope they save that.
They shouldn't. Let me put it that way. Like, I don't think they should. If they've got them in, it should be a reveal for the movie.
Yes.
But at the same time, I there's still part of me that's like, because think about it. The thing that makes me think about it is actually a Spider-Man thing. Mm-hmm. Is think about Civil War.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no reason to show Spider-Man. In fact, one of the clips he'd shown in previous stuff, the lineups, he'd been edited out. There was no reason to show that reveal.
Yeah, agreed. It would have hit so much harder.
Except to get butts and seats and to get more money.
It would have hit so much harder if that was the reveal in the theater, though.
That alone in the back of my head is that little niggle that Disney is going to show them in the next trailer if they're in it. I don't think they should, and I really hope they don't. Let me just put that out there. I really don't think they should. I hate trailers giving everything away.
Yes.
But I think they will, because they know if they put all 3 Spider-Men on screen in the trailer, even for a split second, even just having Tom Holland on screen and hearing their voices, is some sort of giveaway like that is going to like rocket the money in, because people are going to want to see all the Spider-Men together.
Yeah. Oh, I see. So Locke, I just pulled it up and I saw that. Oh shoot.
Oh wow, really? 3 Spider emojis?
Yeah. So Empire, they came out with the Spider-Man cover, and then Sony Pictures UK retweeted it and they put 3 Spider emojis on it. See, I think that I don't know, whatever.
See, that's my thing. Is like I really hope they don't. I hope they're smart enough to just leave it, because the thing is, like, it's going to make money regardless.
People are already way beyond hyped for this movie. Like, it's crazy.
But
The
how do
levels
you
are crazy.
guarantee the max amount of money? Because
Let them figure it out in the theater, man. For real, the amount I think the amount of difference in butts and seats versus if they show it in the trailer versus if they don't show it in the trailer, I don't think is that big. Once they're dropped in the movie and people realize they're in the movie, I feel like more people will go.
I'll
see
tell you though, there is one difference in that in butts and seats, and there will be a difference in number. And do you know how there'll be a difference in number?
How?
Opening weekend.
Yeah.
What numbers do they talk about more than anything?
Yeah.
It's not about how much money the movie makes overall. It's about saying we've had the highest grossing Thursday, the highest grossing Friday, the highest grossing weekend numbers ever.
Yeah.
Those numbers. It's kind of like when somebody drops a YouTube video, like, you can tell how good the YouTube video is doing by the fact of like how many people watch it in the first 24 hours.
That's true.
Like, if people haven't watched it by then, there's a chance a lot of people aren't going to get it. It's the same thing, like opening weekend, and I'm like, they don't want people to eventually hear about it and go. They want people to be there day one.
Yeah.
And they want it to be top of the charts multiple weeks. Like,
you can hint at it though without like just spoiling it everything. There's ways I think around it where you could hint at it. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Locke there as well. He's saying that's like, yes, like the opening shows don't blow it up. Like, it'll be online and within minutes the rest of the shows will blow out. And I'm like,
yeah,
but like, I just, that's the thing at the end of the day, just Disney wants money. They're a business. Yeah. That's why they buy out the companies they do. That's why they sell the stuff that they do. That's why they work the way that they do. That's just how they do it. And it's like they've always been like that. Yeah, Redbeard, they're doctored and stuff like that a little bit, but the thing is, Disney wants the big numbers. Disney wants to be on top, you know. I mean, Disney is literally at the point of like where they are literally competing with themselves for the number one highest grossing movie ever. They literally tossed the highest grossing movie of all time from Avatar to Avengers to Avatar.
Yeah.
And everyone's like that. It's like, oh yeah, like, you know, these numbers are jumping about and congratulations and handshakes. Disney literally shaking its own hand.
Yeah.
It owns both those properties.
Well, I mean, so speaking of like revealing stuff in the trailer, and I know we're almost at an hour, but I really feel like we got to talk through this for a second.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I could be wrong because I haven't seen the movie, but I feel like Eternals is doing, at least until recently, is doing a really, really good job of not spoiling stuff.
No,
I feel like there's a lot of stuff that they haven't. That movie is 2.5 hours long, and they've shown maybe 5 minutes of footage. I feel like there's a lot of stuff in the movie
without telling us exactly what's going on. Like, we know there's a big world-ending threat. We know we're going to hear a little bit why the Eternals didn't get involved before and stuff, all the usual stuff. But that's it.
Yeah, they've shown us like the same trailer in a different way like 3 times,
which I'm okay with. Like, I'm fine with that because at the end of the day, Marvel could literally go, Eternals is coming, and don't show a thing, and people are still going to go see it.
Yeah.
You can literally do that as like Spider-Man, 3rd movie is dropping.
Yeah.
You literally need to show nothing of that trailer,
yeah,
and you're going to make bank. You know what I mean?
Remember when Endgame came out and like the trailers were awesome and we were so pumped for it, but they didn't show.
I half expected them not to drop a trailer for that. I'm going to be honest, because like who wasn't going back to watch this? What happened?
Yeah. Oh well, they didn't show like a ton of stuff in the trailer that we saw in the movie, and it was so much better experiencing that for the first time in a theater with a whole bunch of people, you know. So
yeah, I think the Eternals have got the right just about it, but I think that's the thing though. The funny thing is because nobody cares about the Eternals. It's kind of like when Guardians of the Galaxy dropped, or Ant-Man dropped, or one of these lesser titles dropped. Like, yeah, it's Marvel and it's going to make bank, but
yeah,
it's not Spider-Man. It's not, you know, an Avengers movie. It's not an Iron Man movie. It's like, so who cares?
Yeah. I think another thing that you deal with, you know, with these early release viewings or early viewings and all that stuff, are just like, in my opinion, try hard like media creators and stuff like that wanting to get secrets of the movie out, and they're like spoiling crap.
Because they want to get stuff out there because it's clickbait. They want to get views their way, and if they can reveal stuff about it beforehand, it's like people are naturally curious.
Yeah.
They want to know what's going to happen. Like, I've heard for example, I've heard the stories of like the end credit scene of Eternals gets a standing round of applause. Like, people have been going crazy for it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that as well, Redbeard. supposed to be a World War Hulk movie coming. I'm like, I'll believe that when I see it. I want to see what's happened with the freaking solo rights for that first, because as far as
So
I'm
yeah, so what's up with that? So like Universal still owns the rights, right?
exactly. That's why like I want to see more details on that before I completely buy into there being a World War Hulk movie. I'm all for it. I do think you missed your chance on it hitting at the right time, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
like, but at the same time, like I'd be all for it if it was done properly.
I would have rather him not be in Thor Ragnarok and him had his own movie. And
Yeah.
that's when they did World
Also,
War
and
Hulk.
also as
That
well,
would have
how
made
d-
the perfect sense.
And how do you go back to doing a World War Hulk, like World Breaker Hulk, who we've talked about before on the show?
Yeah. He gets kicked off the Earth again.
How do you do that when he's became like the half and half Hulk?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, it could be a new Hulk. Yeah, you're right.
oh, if it was Amadeus Cho, I'm all for that. I want to, yeah. I still can't believe they didn't do that in the comics. Like they made Amadeus Cho Hulk and then went, nah, but everybody likes Bruce Banner. Let's bring him back. I'm like, give him a chance.
Yeah. I don't
You
know
know-
anything about Amadeus Cho.
Smart Asian Hulk. That's.
I mean, he got transfused with Bruce Banner's blood, right? Like pretty
Yeah, it
much.
was something like that. I honestly don't know that much.
Yeah.
I've never kept up with Hulk stuff.
Yeah, I haven't either.
So even like a brand new Hulk, like you're still not getting me into it. Like I'm not that big on the Hulk stuff, to be honest. It's just one of those characters.
A return of
The
Lou Ferrigno.
twist, return of Lou
If they don't make Lou Ferrigno Beta Ray Bill, I riot.
no.
They already sideloaded him by having his mother be the Doctor in Age of Ultron.
Alright, so that's enough of kind of chat news. I think we're at the 50-minute mark, so I think we should probably get into this. This is officially the start of the Indie Comic Book Club for Halloween, our spooky month, looking at one of the horror comics that are out there. If you are a fan of horror, if you love horror movies, horror games, horror whatever, you may not be aware that there's actually a vast amount of horror comic books out there that are legitimately horror, legitimately scary, legitimately spine-tingling stories that are done really well. There's been a number of them I was looking at for this show, but I decided the best one to check out was this. Something is Killing the Children. This is volume 1. It's still an ongoing series at the moment. From James Tynion IV, Werther de la Dera, and Michael Muerto. Thank you, Sora. Love you too, darling. Ban Sora. But this comic, I didn't really know much about the story of this. I didn't know much about it except the fact this was Reward Sora. Don't even bother. That this was a highly acclaimed comic. On the front of the covers of mine, at least, and hopefully yours as well, is the 2020 Best New Series Will Eisner nominee. So we've talked about it before. The comic book Will Eisner Awards. It was nominated for Best New Series. Your camera a second to refocus on me there. But yeah, beyond that, didn't know much about it except for the main character, Erica Slaughter. Like, there's pictures of her I've seen everywhere, images of this chick with this cool mask.
Yeah.
So many cosplays of this girl. But like beyond like her as the main character, like I didn't know really anything about this going in.
And the first time I'd heard about it is when you mentioned it to me. I hadn't heard anything about this. So, and I'm not really into horror comics, like horror, pretty much anything other than I'll watch a horror movie occasionally. But
yeah, and that's it. I'm not a massive horror person. I've only started getting into some horror stuff in the last couple of years, and even then, I'm still not big on horror. Like, I like more thriller and sort of stuff if we're going into anything, stuff like that. But
yeah,
this comic really, I think it was really well done. So, what were your initial thoughts on this then? What were your thoughts going into this when I recommended this book and you thought about it? Because you said you were, surprised by the book at the start of the show. So, what were your initial thoughts on it?
Yeah, so when you recommended the book to me, just based off the cover, I'm like, this is gonna be dumb. Because it almost looked like a kid's book. Like it was, even though it was like a horror, it was gonna be kind of like a tamed down, like a very approachable kid horror-ish type book. And then you and I started talking a couple weeks ago about it, and you were telling me about some of the stuff that was in it and showing me, and it is not for kids.
No, issue one very quickly establishes this is not a kid's book. This is
I mean, they're children that get ripped apart in the book. So it is, and it shows it. It is intense. It's extremely graphic. That being said, I think this is probably I probably shouldn't have led with that, but this is probably one of my favorite indie books that we've covered so far. I think Lock and Key is probably a very close second for me. But I think this, like, I could imagine as I was reading this, I could imagine this on the big screen, either like a TV show or a movie. Like I could imagine myself watching this, and I would be just enthralled with it. I feel like the art is really really good, but I feel like the story is better, in my opinion. The story, the writing on it is really really good, and there's a lot of mystery in this book, and a lot of stuff doesn't get explained, and the stuff that does get explained, in my opinion, leads to more questions. But I love how they don't reveal everything up front, but it does. It gets kicked off with a bang.
yeah.
But I really, really liked it, man. I really liked it.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is if you want to check this out as well. It's like I thoroughly enjoyed the story of this. I really liked it. It really intrigued and caught my attention. At the same time, though, like you said, there are so many questions left. And the questions that are there are a good thing.
Hmm.
Like something Killing the Children is not like a one and done volume.
Yeah.
It's not even like a couple of volumes like we talked about. Lock and Key was like meant to be like a 6 volume run, and like that's it. That's the story. Like this is an ongoing series. It's still ongoing. There's still questions to be asked, and there's even a spin-off book of it now called The House of Slaughter.
Well, like even you said earlier, like before we got on the stream, like I thought the book was just gonna wrap up what they were doing in the book, and it didn't.
Yeah, no, like at
Like,
the
at
very end
all.
of it, I thought like, okay, this is going to wrap up at the end of this, and then we'll continue the journey next volume, and we'll delve deeper into what's going on elsewhere. We'll move to a new place, deal with new threats, kind of like your one and done weekly series sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, at the end of this thing, no, like Erica's sticking around town.
Well, yeah, and at the end there's this huge reveal that you're like, holy crap! Okay, I have so many questions right now.
Yeah, like there's so much intrigue about it.
Yeah.
As a horror book, it's definitely not the most horrific sort of stuff. Like there's some big gory moments in it. There's some big
Yeah.
massacre moments in it.
It's definitely like a suspense slash thriller
But there's
with
a lot of
little bit of horror.
suspense, a lot of
Yeah.
thriller to it, a lot of anxiety building and anxiety
Mm-hmm.
inducing moments of like building the tension up to something.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the questions help build up the stuff as well, and what's actually going on. Because the honest truth is, we don't know what's going on. One thing with the art that did throw me off, I will say, is that Erica is supposed to be in her 30s.
Oh, yeah, I definitely don't get that from the art.
In the art, she looks like she's like 17, 18.
Yeah,
She looks
yeah.
like a young girl. But like maybe she is, and it's just a license she has. But at the same time, the license legitimately has the name Erica Slaughter on it.
Yeah.
So I figure if you were having a fake ID with something on it, that you would change the name. But
One of the issues that I have with the art, and this might be on purpose, and again, we're going into a little bit of spoilers here, so if you don't want to be spoiled by this book, you want to read it on your own, you can throw us a lurk or whatnot, but the main monster that they're hunting down, like, I can't tell, I can't get a grasp on what it looks like. It's just pieces of him here and there, which might be on purpose, but just the way that he's drawn, I feel like it's a completely different style than everything else.
yeah, it's
don't know.
interesting because it's like the rest of it's kind of done in a very specific art style.
Yeah.
But if I can get to try to find the first picture of the monster. Okay, FYI, this has him ripping a kid apart, but this is the first picture. But you get a look at him, but he's very much in darkness, very much kind of hidden. But that might also be the fact as well that a lot of the characters can't see him.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, and
invisible
that's
to a
a
lot
really
of the characters and stuff, and it's hidden away, and he's this monster, but also it might be the whole monster movie effect of like keeping the creature hidden for the most part until like the very end, and at the very end, kind of spoilers for it, she talks about there might be more of them. So it might be the fact of keeping that one hidden for the most part and giving little looks at it because we're going to see more of it to come. It's like, but I definitely understand that. Like, I mean, that was my same complaint with something like Cloverfield.
Mm-hmm.
And watching that was like, I still don't know what that freaking monster looks like or what was going on or anything.
Well, and I'm cool with
No.
them keeping the monster in the shadows, and like you don't see the monster until like the very end. But I feel like they revealed pretty much the whole monster right at the beginning. It's just I don't know. It's maybe just the way that he's drawn or it's drawn or whatever. It's just I don't know. I feel like they could have like spent a little more time on that. And I know that's super hypercritical, but that's the only issue that I have with the art.
Yeah. But like the art is really cool, really
Yeah.
terrific.
All right.
Good things.
One thing I do
show
have to
some of
talk
the art.
about. One thing I do have to talk about, and I sent you a message on this, and this drove me absolutely crazy. So this is the only other I think issue that I have with the book. But you know, ideally, when you're reading a comic, you are reading obviously left to right and top to bottom, right? So you start here,
Oh yeah.
you start here, and you go down the page, then you go up and go down the page. Sometimes you have a two-page spread in a comic, right? I get it. Yep, and sometimes they'll overlap. But for the most part, you go obviously left to right, top to bottom. This one, it changes. Every 2 pages, it changes. You'll sometimes go across, and then halfway down, you switch to the left, and then go to the right. Sometimes it has a left, then right, and it was driving me bananas. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, let's just stick with the standard and stick with it.
It was a little bit irritating because I would start reading and then I'd go to read the next panel and realise that that panel wasn't the next panel. I'd missed a whole chunk of it,
Yes.
so I had to go back and read it again. And
I didn't
that
get that. I don't get why they did that.
I don't get why it changed so much. If you were changing something for a moment for a
Yeah.
like a certain storytelling aspect, fair enough. But like
Yeah.
it keeps happening and I keep not being able to keep up with it, and that was probably
Yes.
the only major frustration I had
Yeah.
with it. That was a little bit bizarre.
Like, dude, pick a freaking layout and stick with it. But yeah, like those are the only two issues that I had. Like the design of the monster, I feel like could have been a little bit better, or the way that they drew him, or
Can I
it,
talk about
and then
the design of
layout.
Erica here? Like in these pages specifically,
Mhm.
like just looking at her face, like how off-settling like the kind of art
Yes.
is for stuff.
Yes.
And like I don't know if anyone is like if you've seen it or if anyone's a fan of like Death Note.
Yep.
But like when she's like crouched like that and some of these shots of her face, like it gives me very L vibes
Mm-hmm.
from like Death Note. Very like she doesn't seem to like, especially in that scene where like, she's talking to the kid who survived the attack and stuff like that, but she's not always like directly making eye contact with him and is very kind of focused on like, okay, answer these questions. I need you to talk
Yeah.
about this. It's like there was definite kind of L vibes to elements of it, like
Mhm.
almost like Asperger's, almost like.
Yeah.
Which was a really interesting, which again, just because of the way the art was and the kind of the style of the story, it was a little, it made it a little more unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
Like things weren't quite normal, so I'll be interested to see how that kind of plays out going forward. But yeah,
I really like how they wrote the characters. I feel like the characters, the way that they acted, and the responses to certain scenarios were super realistic.
yeah,
Like I'm
absolutely.
specifically thinking about the little girl who goes missing in the book, her brother.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's basically his mom has gone nuts because their daughter's missing, and they're trying to let the sheriff handle it, and he's just not handling it. So he basically takes matters into his own hands, and just that whole thing I think is super realistic. Like I think that's something that would literally happen. Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's like the characters are very well defined as well, and it's like you relate to them, even like stuff like him, like the brother.
Yeah.
There's moments where he becomes like infuriating because like you understand where he's coming from, but at the same time you're infuriated because like he's slowing Erica down at points
Yeah.
and becoming a hindrance. But at the same time you're like I understand his frustration.
Mhm.
He has no idea what he's walking into. But yeah, I thought the characters were well defined. The kid who survived the attacks and stuff kind of becomes a ride along character to introduce us to Erica,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I thought we got a really good insight in Erica in the police station scene,
Mhm.
where like she's talking to the police officer and stuff, and we get a good insight in who she is. And just the characters that we follow along, I felt like we got a lot of a good journeying with them. And it's
Yeah.
like they were well defined and kind of helped expand the story. It's like it felt like a really good start to a story.
Yes.
I think
I
it's
feel like
probably
that's
the best thing I can describe it as.
The first issue was so. I was gonna say was such a good, but then I said so. It was so good. It was such a good introduction to Erica and the main character, the boy. I forgot his name.
Oh, James.
Yes, that's it. And obviously just to the scenario that they're in. It was so cool, and then immediately within the first 2 pages, I was hooked. Kind of the same thing with Spencer and Locke. Within the first 2 pages, I was hooked. You
Yeah.
know. What is up, Watson? How are you doing, sir?
Hey, hello, Watson. How's it going, sir? Shout out to Co-op Trio, by the way. If you guys are not following them, go and drop them a follow. They're good friends of ours, and I think they're about like 6 or 7 followers away from like 500 here on
Nice.
Twitch. So if you're not following them, do us a favor, go and drop them a follow and show them some love. But yeah, I think I got drawn into this story right away, and I think
Yes.
it's like they knew they had an ongoing series for this and it was going to last a length of time. So like James Tynion takes his time unfolding the story.
Yeah.
He takes his time unfolding it. Like the opening of it is very chill, very slow going, but at the same time you feel like this. The tension around it feels almost kind of like it's almost kind of like watching It, like Stephen King's It. Of
Yeah,
you know how like these kids are getting taken and there's almost
Dude.
this anxiety around the town, but nobody's
Dude, it's funny.
but nobody's talking about it.
Dude, it's so funny you said that because I was just thinking, I was like, this reminds me of a lot of the movies from like my childhood, like the late 80s,
Yeah.
the 90s, where it was like these kids, it was like a kids-based horror movie, and there was this mystery that was going on, and the kids were trying to solve it. And yes, I totally got that
It
vibe.
reminds me of It in so much because like although it's kind of calm because we get introduced to Erica and we get introduced to James, and it's very calm apart from like seeing the actual monster killing his friends, which we do get to see like right off the bat. There's no
Yeah.
oh, what does this thing look like? No, we get introduced to the monster slaughtering it
Immediately.
right away.
Yeah.
But there's almost this quietness around the town of like almost like we're aware something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know what it is, but we're scared to say anything.
Yeah.
Like James, because he's the only survivor, starts to take a lot of the blame, and it's almost like it's clearly not him though.
Yeah.
Like his friends are literally ripped apart. It clearly wasn't a teenage boy that did this.
Mm-hmm.
That's not possible. And it's like, but nobody's talking about it, and it's like it's this thing of like, you know, Erica starts asking him questions when she gets it, and all the fact she delves into that stuff of she like is like, no, tell me honestly what happened.
I'll believe anything you say.
Don't think about the fact of like people haven't believed you. There's no one could believe what you say. Tell me exactly what you saw.
Yeah.
It's not going to sound crazy. It's not going to sound insane. It's going to be true.
Yeah.
But that was the thing as well. Like in that introduction, like you said, the first couple of pages, because like we get almost like his friends doing like a truth or dare sort of thing, like right off the bat, and
Yeah, it's like a sleepover type thing.
which I love that the very next page then cuts to him basically being interviewed, but like I don't know if it's FBI or police.
Yeah,
or
I'll show
whatever.
you. Yeah. So it's a really, I was thinking about the same thing. There's a really cool transition. Basically, it goes from like the sleepover where they're doing sleep or dare at the bottom, his face,
Yeah,
to the top of the next panel where he's being interviewed by the FBI
but it's very much like a
or by the police.
what the crap just happened. Like
Yeah.
soon that intrigue's in there, and then instead of
And-
telling us that, we then cut to our meet our protagonist, everybody, and it's like I love the fact that there's no context to what's happening here.
Well, it's even
There's a
it's
girl
even written.
in a wagon,
Yeah.
missing her arm, missing her legs, one eye
Yeah.
out, and then a blonde girl in a mask
Yeah.
comes out with 2 machetes covered in blood. No explanation about what's just happened, just
Yeah.
that it's happened.
I don't really think they explain that little girl either.
No, and that's the thing though, it's like I think the whole point of it is really it's like she's clearly the James character for whatever town Erica was in before.
Yeah.
She's a character that survived or has experienced a monster or something like that. And we find out quickly off that Erica's basically a monster hunter of some sort.
Uh-huh.
And while she's like wrapping up there and like bandaging herself, she gets a call. And the only thing that we get on the phone is St. George, and like that she thinks the guy's an a-hole.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's to go to Archer's Peak, so it's like, okay, she's a monster hunter of some sort. She
Yeah.
clearly works for somebody who sends her on these missions to these different places, and she goes to get cleaned up and stuff at the girl's house before moving to Archer's Peak. We never see that girl again, so it's like we're literally introduced to Erica in the middle of what she does. So within a few pages, you've already given us anticipation about the story, anticipation about the creature we're going to see, introduced us to the protagonist and the type of person she is, all within a few pages.
Hey, dude, I don't know if you caught this, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to derail a combo, but on James, I think is his name.
Mhm.
Is it James? Or yeah, his shirt. I don't know if you. It's like a Easter egg to the Nightwing logo. It's not quite the Nightwing logo,
Oh,
but
really?
it's like the Nightwing logo if it was the bat symbol.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know if you caught that or not. I don't know if that was intentional, but it's very, very close.
that's cool. I'm all for that, obviously. But yeah, so like I think the story goes really well, and we see James like really struggling with that. His friends have all been killed, and like he's legitimately getting hassled by kids at school who are like, "You're the killer."
Yeah, because everybody thinks that he's the one who murdered it, and then they're like giving him a hard time. Yeah.
Which, although I do love this actually, because there's a kid that basically like goes off at him. I think one of the friends that he killed is a friend of his. Like he literally goes off to him,
Yeah.
and literally, it's like he literally whispers under his breath, like standing at the memorial, just shut up. And he
Yeah.
goes, "What did you say to me?" And he literally, "Shut the f up."
Yeah.
The top of his lungs. And then next clip, principal's office.
He's in the principal's office. This is a cool scene though.
I
With the
love
principal.
this principal
Yes.
and just how straightforward he is.
The principal is basically like, yeah, that kid's a dummy.
I
You
love it. It's
should have
like,
hit him.
he goes like, "What am I supposed to do about this? I think you're supposed to call my dad." "You really want me to call your dad, James?" "No." "You know, you really should have punched him." "Okay." Not that I'm advocating violence, but goodness, if there was a kid that I wanted to. Anyway. I love the fact that he basically just goes into this stuff with the fact that like this isn't okay, this isn't
Yeah.
normal. Like what's
Yeah.
going on? Like with like he's like 9 kids have already disappeared.
Hmm.
All these dead bodies are showing up, and no one effing cares.
Yeah. Nobody cares.
And he's clearly struggling with it himself. He's like, you know what, just keep doing what you're doing. Just take the time if you need it.
Yeah.
And it's like so we start to see that the kids are disappearing. Erica shows up into town, and we get a shot of the missing kid board.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's just like the ones that they know of in the town. So to give us an idea that this has been going on for a while and stuff.
Yeah.
And the next thing she does is bump into James and basically asks him like, what happened? She's like, I already told everything to the cops. And it's like I read what you said to the cops. It's like, I don't want to know what you told the cops. What happened?
Yeah.
I
And
want
tell
to
me
know what
everything,
you
and I'll believe
saw.
anything you say.
And that's when we get our This
The
is a moment.
flashback.
This is a moment. This turns into a horror comic.
Yeah.
Like we had thriller up to this point, but this is like now horror. Like even the way the kids' faces are drawn.
Yeah.
Like you see him like running through the forest looking for his friends and stuff, screaming out for them, and like even the first kid you see is like that. Like his face just looks so contorted. Like if I can.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't want to show what comes next just yet.
Yeah.
But like screaming, "Help me! Help me!" And then it goes to the next scene. And like he's yelling, "Help me!" But he's in half. He's like legitimately in half, dragging his body, and like dies there. And it's like, what the crap?
Yeah.
And then like everywhere he goes, it just gets
Bunch of-
worse and worse. Like he
Just
sees
a bunch of cutscenes of just dead kids and him screaming and
limbs missing, bits bitten out of them, heads like contorted. It's like, oh my goodness. You know, so you see one of his friends like trying to ask for help, and his jaw's busted. He can't even ask for it.
yeah.
And as he's asking for help, this creature comes and like rips him apart, and it's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we showed this earlier, but that's right after that kid asked for help.
It's like it's okay, and then she's sitting there, her phone goes off again. And she's like, yeah, so don't worry, I got this handled.
Yeah.
You know, there's a monster in these woods, and that's why I'm here. I'm going to kill it. And he's like, can I help? And that's it. That's our introduction to something that's killing the children. And I'm like, I
Such a
read that
cool-
first issue, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. I need to see what
Yeah.
happens next.
Exactly. And I feel like there's a lot of exposition in the second volume. It's basically building the backstory of Erica and that other dude whose daughter who's
Tommy.
yeah, Tommy, whose sister's missing.
There's a
Building his
lot of
relation.
backstory with him, which is interesting because it's like it gives a little bit of backstory of the families and stuff and how they're coping with this, and which I'm glad that they do because there's so many kids missing. I'm glad we get to see it. I do love this shot though. If he thinks he hears a noise
Yes, I didn't get that until at the very end of the comic.
and the
I didn't get
monster's like right over him,
yes.
and I'm like, he can't see it though. He's like, hello,
And
is
he-
there anybody there? Like the thing is literally right at him,
yeah.
and he can't see it.
Yeah, so basically this issue I think is just dedicated to James and Erica's relationship, kind of building that trust. And then gosh, I'm so bad with names. What's his name again?
Tommy.
Tommy. Yeah, his relationship it basically focuses on him and his trying to find his sister.
I
Is basically
love
this
the whole
entire.
restaurant stuff between the
Dude,
two of
that's
them.
hilarious. And it's not Applebee's, it's Apple Beams is the
Apple
name of.
Apple beams. You know, so we can't get sued.
And she's basically like, "Can I get a table for like a week?
Yeah, just
Does
stuff
anybody
that
come
stuff
here?
that.
Is it that big?" So it's basically a whole like 2 to 3 page spread bust on Applebee's.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
like nobody comes here. It's like
nobody goes there.
I'll pay you.
If you do, I'm
50
sorry. I apologize.
It's like nobody comes here, but I will pay you $50 up front to keep my bag at a table.
Oh my
If
gosh.
there's any questions, he says there's another manager. She works like Thursdays. Like, okay, I'll come get it by Thursday.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Nope. And it's
So-
like,
so
and she
sh-
says that, and I love it. I love her reasoning as well. That James asked her, "Well, why the hell are we here then?" It's like,
Yeah.
I've got big tables.
So she commandeers the table, right? And she
We've
throw-
got big
she-
tables, so she can put the map of the area out on it. That's
Yeah.
that's why they wanted to go there.
She throws this huge map on the table, and they start kind of outlining, like identifying where all these missing kids, or where the bodies were found, and where these missing kids should be. And that's when Tommy kind of walks up and says, "You're missing one. That's where my sister was last seen, or whatnot." And then I think Tommy and Eric are starting to get into this huge argument because he kind of thinks that James is guilty. He kind of thinks James had something to do with the kids that got slaughtered.
Yeah, because it's one of his work colleagues that mentions to
Mm-hmm.
him, because she goes up to take their order and stuff. And she's the one that mentions to him, like, hey, that's the kid that survived. Oh, can I point out as well, as it'll be important later, first sighting of the octopus.
Which I still, like, no clue what that's all about.
I'll give my take on it when we get to, I think it's like issue 5, chapter 5,
Alright.
that they kind of delve into that a little bit more with a little hint, so I'll give my take of what I think it is, but honestly I don't know either. Also we get a nice couple of shots of Erica doing what she does.
Just a beast.
Yeah, like this is what she does, and she does it well.
She looks like an animal when she does it.
But yeah, so like he comes over and shows Tommy comes over, as you said, shows him where like the sister lived because that's his house. And he starts to get a bit suspicious and stuff, and you know.
Yeah, he
like,
basically he
wise
comes up to
asking.
the table and goes, "Yeah, that's where I live." And then she goes, "Are you related to?" And he goes, "Sophie. Yeah, I'm her brother." And then he's like, "What are you doing here?" And
I'm
then
not gonna
you
lie,
know,
I laughed at the point when she's like that. It's like that. It's like, I don't know where your sister is, Tommy. It's like, how the f do you know my name? Name tag.
name tag.
Name tag. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I did chuckle at that, but that was funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
But she's like, okay, you know what? We're out of here. She goes to pick up her bag, and her blade falls out.
Mhm.
And so it's literally like he goes for her, smashes him in the table, throws his money back at him. Like, okay, we're out of here. Bye.
She like walks away with her hands in the air. She goes, "I'm gonna walk away now." And then he calls the sheriff, basically.
Yeah, I guess the police involved. And then Erica goes to her room and has a conversation with said octopus. And said octopus responds and
Verbally.
replies to her. It's like basically she goes off into the whole stuff that her and James talked about, and the octopus is it's like, "Hey, you working on this for me?" Okay.
Mhm.
And then of course the officers that were called show up at the door. And she opens the door and it's like, "Yeah, how can I help, officer?" Which I'm assuming he can't see it, but
Yeah.
This is a pattern
And
to
that's
check to drown the octopus. That's a bit I still don't get is the thing around it. I understand, I think, more like what the octopus role is in terms of like the people we see later, but yeah, that one's a bit.
Well, there's this really cool call to the form of the octopus, the real life or the form that she sees. Like when the sheriff first goes to the door, he sees a light under the door, and he sees this weird shape, like kind of like an
Yeah.
octopus. And then he kind of rubs his eyes, and it goes away. So there's this like hints in the beginning of the story that not everybody can see whatever these things are, the monsters and this thing that Erica's talking to. So that's a really cool thing that they build on through the story.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's really well done.
And it's like it's very heavily kind of explained at the end. But again, the explanation just leaves way more questions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you don't get full answers of it yet, and that's kind of cool that you don't. So we delve into chapter 3. Things get intense again.
Mm-hmm.
As we basically see a little girl getting attacked and find out that she was part of a group of 5 kids who were like murdered by one of the monsters in their home. You know, and it's like we go to the bar where we see Tommy and stuff talking there and telling about his friends about how he called the police on her and how crazy she was. And we get probably one of my favourite back and forths in the first volume.
Yes.
Of
When she's
Erica
talking to the sheriff.
at the sheriff at the police station. I love
Yeah.
this back and forth because it's one of those, he's interrogating her, but like she's completely in control, obviously, of everything that's taking place.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's funny that it's basically her license is just a piece of paper. It's a photocopy. And he's like, this is a piece of paper.
yeah, so you could have made this at a store. And I'm like, yeah, I could have. Like, you didn't even bother laminating it.
He said, this is made of paper. And she said, so is a social security card. And he said, this isn't a social security card. It's a license. It looks like you made it at Kinko's.
She's like, yeah, you didn't even laminate it. Yeah,
But
she's so nonchalant about it. Like, yeah, I don't really care.
here's a really good example, though, of what I was talking earlier about the comic layout. So you have, obviously, the intro. I don't know if everybody can see this, but you have the intro, and then it goes this panel down to this panel, and then it starts all the way over here again. And that's not a standard that they follow through the comic. They jump all over the place with different formats, and it makes it a little hard to read.
Yeah. Because let me see. Because like in the next page I wanted to just check the layout, because like the layout of the next page is completely different.
Yeah.
Like the layout of the next page like goes like along here and then like up here to the next page and then it goes right along the bottom.
Yep.
And it's like, why would you set it out so differently? Page
Yeah.
to page to page. Like why
I know.
it's really hard to follow. Like it's not enough to throw me off the story or put me off it completely. It's just a little irritating. Like every time you turn the page, you don't quite know where you're going.
Yeah, it's very irritating. It was irritating to me.
You know, maybe that's part of it though. Maybe that's part of the setup of the story. Maybe that's
Well, and look, the next page, you're basically going left to right all the way down. It's just weird. It's just
yeah,
weird.
It changes so much, but yeah. So the sheriff starts to interrogate Erica, and you very much find out quickly that you know that she really doesn't care what he
Yeah.
thinks. You know, and she tries to lay it out to him. It's like that. Basically, he's trying to pin it on her. And she's like, you asked me where I was on a bunch of dates, I told you. If you looked at those dates and places up, you're going to find a lot of stories about little towns like this with missing kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to freak you out. You're going to want to lock me up and throw away the key, but it doesn't change the fact that you saw me getting off the bus. You know I wasn't here, the things went back down, but you still want to lock me up because it'll make you feel like you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sum it up, and he's like, sure.
Yeah.
And it's like, and she starts then interrogating him about the board he's got, like what kid went missing when.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like what happens, and he starts to get really frustrated about it because he thinks like you're playing a game with me.
Yeah.
and literally goes off on her because he's like, that's like, this is a small town. This isn't like one of the bigger cities. Like, this doesn't happen here.
Mhm.
Like, this stuff does not happen here. Children are dying. And he's like, and she's basically like, that's why I'm here. It's like, all you need to know is that there's children dying. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do what I need to do. And when I leave, you won't understand why it stopped. You won't understand why it was happening in the first place or what took place. But all you'll know is it stopped.
Yeah.
And that's enough. It's like, and I kind of love that for it. It's like that. It's like, because like, how desperate are you of like, if that's enough for you that it stopped, then that's enough. Kids are no longer dying in this town. You're never going to understand the answer why. You're never going to know the answers to why. But it stopped. And if that's and that's enough, surely. And she even tells him, like, if you don't let me out of here soon as well, like, you're just going to get a phone call from someone telling you enough information that you need to let me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go do what I need to do.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, he ends up doing it like beforehand. And she, like, then of course, like, finds out like there was another officer comes in and says like about the 5 kids that died, and she gets mad. It's like what do I do when I get the phone call from the guy for you? She's like, tell him he's an a-hole, that he's late because another 5 kids have died. You know, so it's like she goes back into a hunting mode.
Mm-hmm.
And we see her like going off at the octopus. She meets back up with James, but she goes off at the octopus.
Because James is making fun of her because she's talking to basically a stuffed octopus.
But like, she is going off at this thing about it, the fact of like, it's like, okay, you've made a mistake in your intel. You've given me the wrong class of monster.
Yeah.
You said it was a class E. This is not a class E. This is a class B. This is way more dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And like, she's going off, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" Basically, like, you look angry. You should try talking to people and not to a stuffed octopus. Shut the F up, James.
Yeah.
It's like,
And
not
she
in the
goes,
mood.
I'd like to apologize for that.
You know, and they say, well, what do we need to face this thing then? She's like, okay, come on, we need weapons. Lots of weapons.
Dude, this, all right. So
Where do you go to get weapons?
the House Depot.
House Depot.
All right, so this is a really funny scene. I was gonna say it's probably one of my favorite scenes, but this is a really funny scene.
That's a great
Where this-
scene.
Where the dude is basically going through all these different types of chainsaws, and he's talking about all the bells and whistles on these, and he goes, you could buy a cheaper chainsaw that's not gonna stop when it starts cutting through.
Oh yeah, because he starts
like,
talking about the special sensors the new ones have, so that like if you like keep cutting and it goes through something to make sure you don't like cut off your limb,
It'll
there's an
stop.
automatic stop on it.
Yeah.
And then I've
And
got
he's
like
basically
these
like, we do have other ones that don't have that.
like basically I've got these like nasty rusty ass old chainsaws that won't stop for nothing. I'll just keep cutting no matter what. It's like, yeah, can I have a look at those models?
Yeah, she's like, can I see the crappy rundown models? And he goes, sorry? She goes, the ones that keep ripping through anything and everything like they've got a mind of their own. He's like, I think you misunderstood. And she was like, I want to see those models, Henry. Please. I don't have much time.
Oh, and cordless. I need cordless.
And he's like, so you got a lot of renovations coming up, don't you? And he's looking at her cart, and there's like axes and gloves and rope.
It's basically like a freaking serial killer's like murder basket here, and I'm like, so a lot of renovations coming up.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of
That's
work around your house, are you? Oh my goodness.
And then we kind of it kind of cuts into another scene with Tommy, who's visiting his dad, who's obviously, based on the scene, he's estranged from his dad, and his dad kind of a loser, it looks like. And he walks into the house, and his dad is just on the couch, just buck naked. Just, he fell asleep with no clothes on. And you're under the pretense that he's going there to visit his dad, kind of check in on him. But you realize that he's actually just looking for a weapon that his dad has stashed, because he's going to go look for Erica, is basically the whole gist behind that.
Yeah. And that's it. It's like he goes for a weapon because you get like Tommy's now going after Erica, essentially thinking that she's the killer.
Yeah.
We get an interesting scene then next as well of like the crime scene, basically talking about how effed up it looks and how messy it is and all this stuff from the corner. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the stuff for the corner, like, I feel like part of it's meant to like give us some character development. I also feel like this is a bit of padding. Like the stuff with the corner, like it goes on just a little bit too long for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to know about the ins and outs of these characters dying. I already know what killed them. It's this monster that Erica's hunting. I'd rather just keep going with her.
Yeah.
But then we do get someone that gives the cop that Erica was talking to a call. Gives the sheriff a call and says that he's here to help, and it's the guy that was meant to be calling for Erica.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, like, just let her do what she needs to do.
Yep.
You know, it's like, so you're the guy that she's with, and he's like, that Erica Slaughter isn't with anybody. And we do get a hint he's holding a dragon cane, but we do see this tattoo on his hand.
Yeah, it's
which
like
is
a dragon
with chopsticks
spears
through it or something.
Yeah.
Or like crossed out or something. But
Yeah, and that's
the reason that's
that's
so relevant is that that's at the end of every issue.
yeah. I was gonna say that's.
So it's like that's clearly like a symbol that we need to be aware of for what's coming
And
up.
she
with
has
it.
that on her in the inside of her right forearm. She has that tattoo.
Yeah. So it's like clearly whatever organization this is who they work. This is the symbol of their organization. I'm assuming it's the House of Slaughter, just simply
Okay.
because of the spin-off title that's out there now. There's a spin-off title called The House of Slaughter based on this. So the two of them hit Erica and James basically head off.
Yeah, and earlier something we forgot to mention. The sheriff asked the undersheriff or whatever to kind of tag along and follow them without being seen. So that's a really important part.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like, so they're walking along and it's like he's like, I've got a question. What did I say about questions? That they're smart to ask when you're in a life and death scenario. And she's like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
What's your
fair
question? And then he's like, what are monsters? Big scary things that eat children. And he's like, really? Is that it? Like, you're not giving more of an explanation than that? Is like. And then he starts going like, but monsters aren't real. It's like, of course they are. You've seen one. You saw it eat your friends. But why did it eat my friends? Because they could see it. Because they believed in it. And we start to get the lore of like these creatures. Like, you have to essentially kind of believe in them to actually see them.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I didn't believe in monsters. I don't think they did either. It's like, yeah, you did. Of course you did. Believing is different thing than knowing. You're old enough to know that there aren't monsters in the world, but you don't believe that. Not really. You hear a noise in the woods or see a shadow shaped wrong, and you're still afraid.
That's such a cool piece of dialogue.
That dialogue just totally hit me. Like, that's so cool. It's like, it's that
Yeah.
idea of like, I know there's not a monster under my bed,
Yeah.
but I guarantee your ass that my feet are not coming out from under the covers in case something grabs it.
Freddy Krueger is not hiding in my bed. That doesn't mean, based off the movie that I've seen, that his hand swords or whatever aren't gonna puncture through my chest. Whatever.
Exactly.
Sorry, that took a dark turn.
I'm gonna say Nitro's gone off on one there. Like, Nitro's working through some stuff apparently. You got some stuff you want to talk about there, Nitro?
No,
Like
I'm good.
some Freddy
I'm
Krueger
good.
issues.
I'm good.
Okay, just if you need to talk, we're here, man. Just saying.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna go cry in the corner afterwards.
But it's like, but you know what I mean? It's that thing of like that. I know, like intelligently, I know these things don't
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
Like, that still doesn't mean that even though I lived like 15-minute walk from my friend's house, that the night I watched Dog Soldiers at his house, and then had to walk in the dark, only lit by street lamps, and started hearing dogs barking, that I didn't run that 15-minute walk in like 5, because
That's
just in
hilarious.
case. Why? Because in my head I know they don't exist, and but in that moment I didn't believe they didn't exist. I believed in them very much. But that dialogue it's so cool. It's like your brain doesn't fully take it in sometimes. Your brain doesn't comprehend it in the same way. It's like knowing something in your head and your heart sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
your head knows that's not true, but your heart's still like, is it though?
Yeah.
But it's really interesting as well of like Erica's basically starts telling the whole sort of thing of like, adults really can't see these things because their brains are developed, so they make logical excuses for it. There's easy ways to make excuses for stuff. And she basically like gets loaded up to go in there and is basically telling him like, look, you're not coming in there.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like basically saying like, look, I've seen this stuff, I've seen horrible things, I want to help, and she's like, look, you cannot come in there.
Yeah, because she thinks that they found this thing's nest where it keeps all of the dead children's bodies that haven't been found. So that's where they're going to kind of check.
Yeah, and so she's basically like, look, do not come in there with me.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I've seen horrible things, like, no, like this,
Not
you've
like
not.
this. Yeah.
It's like, you don't want to be seeing this.
And then there's a scene where the undersheriff or whoever it is, the detective or whatnot, is kind of hanging back, and he's got his binoculars on him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And then he's basically like telling him a whole rundown of, I followed him to the store. They got a whole grocery cart full of weapons and stuff like that. And then basically the sheriff, based on the conversation that he had with this mysterious House of Slaughter person, is like, "Don't follow her."
Yeah.
And
he's
the
like,
undersheriff
"Don't
is like,
follow
"What?"
me to it."
He's like, "Yeah, don't follow her. I don't want you to follow her." He's like, "I'm serious. Leave it alone. She's doing what she's got to do." And then he's basically like, "Well, screw that. I'm gonna follow her."
Yeah. To which point he then goes to get his equipment to go and follow her, and then gets jumped and smacked by Tommy, who then he decides to follow her instead.
Yeah, and he basically what do you call it when he hits him with a gun?
Oh, he pistol whips him like right in
Yeah,
the
he
back of the
pistol whips
head.
him. He's basically like, "You had a chance to keep that Erica chick because I think she has something to do with my sister being missing. You had a chance to keep her locked up and you didn't. So I'm gonna do what you can't," basically.
Yeah. So he takes her out, goes to go after her, and is basically, "I'm going to take her out." Erica basically arrives where the monster is and realizes this is a big nest.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a nice little bit of dialogue of her going off at the octopus, like, "You knew about this, didn't you? You didn't say anything." And she's like, James, like, "I need you to go hide behind that ridge. And do not
Yeah.
come out, no matter what you hear. Take these and wait. So I'm going to go do my job." So she loads up mask, weapons, chainsaw, goes into the nest, and we find a bunch of dead bodies. This creature has like chowed down so many kids. And of course, as she arrives in full garb to fight this thing, right at a bunch of dead bodies, Tommy finds her. And is basically like, "Haha, I knew it. You're the one that did it all. You killed them." And then she's like, "Tommy, you need to get down right now." Not a chance.
What he doesn't see.
What he doesn't see is he has a friend behind him. And this brings us to the final chapter of Volume 1, the final showdown.
Yeah, so it opens up with basically Frank kind of sitting over in the ridge where Erica told him to sit. He's kind of just chilling with the octopus.
You are
in his
awful
little-
with names.
Dude, I am. Wait,
James.
it's not Frank. It's James. That's it. Dude, I am horrible with names.
There are like
So-
3 character names.
James. All right. So James is just chilling over the ridge where Erica told him to go. And he's like, "I'm cold and this sucks." And he's looking around and then he sees this dead dog. And basically kind of has a flashback to the scene where he found all of his friends' dead bodies. And then the octopus starts talking to him. And starts basically going in on him about how he's so weak. He said, let me just read it. He says, "I don't know why she brought you. You're such a weak little thing. You should run back home. This is not a job for scared children. The creatures eat scared children." And then James goes, "I'm not afraid, and you're not real." He goes, "Yes, that's right. I'm not real. This is all a nightmare that gutted your friends. It's easier to think that, yes? So you don't have to face that you led them down into the dark woods late at night to their deaths. So you don't have to face that it was your fault." So he just starts going in on him, and he's basically saying the monster should just come and eat you too.
Yeah.
And the octopus basically talks him into going in there to helping Erica,
Yeah.
to be giving Erica some backup.
Sorry, you're going to be like telling that then I'm sitting here yawning. I'm sorry, guys. If my
Oh,
head's
you're
starting to droop, I'm still dealing with little boy that will not sleep.
So yeah, so we cut to the scene in the cave where Erica's kind of trying to negotiate with Tommy about, "Hey, there's a monster behind you. I know you don't see it. Walk towards me slowly." And he goes, "I'm the one with the gun." She goes, "I see that. I know what you think is happening, but it's not what is happening. I don't want you to get hurt." And he's basically like, "Are you threatening me?" And then
I love this bit though. I love the fact of like, he's like, "Are you threatening me?" Holds the gun up, and the thing roars, and she's like, "Ah, crap!" And like, she just doesn't care about the gun. She just revs up the chainsaw, starts walking forward. I love the fact of like, she revs up the chainsaw. He has a gun pointed on her, and he still backs down.
he just pushes. She just pushes him out of the way.
Yeah, starts slicing through the monster, and he starts seeing like bits coming through the air,
Like blood and stuff like that.
like what the heck? How's that happen? She's like this fight of her life, and he's like, "This is some kind of trick." Like, oh yeah, absolutely.
And then he basically says, "You killed my sister," and he starts kind of wrestling with Erica, and they're trying to wrestle the gun away, and then the gun goes off, and he ends up actually shooting the monster, which he doesn't know, but he ends up shooting the monster multiple times. And then we cut to the next page where it shows James has been shot in the stomach by a stray bullet.
Yeah, like he was shooting at the monster, and it's like she tries
Yeah.
to stop the gun, saying he's pissed off the monster essentially, and it turns out, yeah, you shot James. Like, good job. You shot
Way
the
to go,
kid.
hero. Way to go.
I love that then Erica just dispatches him quickly, like gut punch, down he goes.
It's like, I can't breathe.
Like, you can't breathe, you're fine, you're just winded. They then find that there is a little girl still alive in there.
Mm-hmm.
What was her name? Bian or something like that? Bian.
Yeah.
And while they're picking her up, they see a pile of dead bodies, and Tommy sees his sister lying there, like her corpse there. And then Erica's like basically trying to like get him like around, like, come on, I need you back in the game here.
Yeah.
And we don't totally get what she does to him. She pulls out this like little golden blade.
It looks like
thing,
a ceremonial blade of some sort.
and basically nicks him in the side of the head. Not like a massive nick, but whatever it is, that after he does that, he has like a vision. Who I'm assuming are like the head honchos of the House of Slaughter.
And each one has its own stuffed animal.
Yeah, wearing
Which I thought
masks
was
similar to
pretty cool.
Erica's. They've all got their animals, so I can only assume that there's that one of them has an animal that's an octopus,
Mm-hmm.
and that's who's been like directing Erica through the octopus.
Yeah.
But he sees that, and then all of a sudden he can see the monster,
Mm-hmm.
and very
Is that-
quickly,
He's like, is that what you've been fighting? You messed my head up. This isn't real.
which I look at this point, it's like, that dude, come on.
I know.
And he's like, okay, get James, get Bian, get out of here. Get them out of here as quick as you can. Let me do what I need to do.
Can you get them out of here alive? Yes.
And then Erica goes into full monster massacring mode.
Which, this is so sweet. This panel is so sweet. She just looks like a BA.
Yeah, she just goes into full killing mode and just like starts ripping this thing apart. So Tommy then gets the kids out of there, back to the police officer who's waking up as they get out of the woods,
Yeah.
and he takes them to go to the hospital to get checked out. Tommy passes out in the back, the other kids are out as well. And then Erica comes out covered in blood, basically gets a call. And I love it, it's like, I did what I had to do to save the two lives and deal with the consequences. So you start to see like they're clearly mad that she did what she did with Tommy
Yeah.
and gave him like the ability to see these things.
Mhm.
And then goes off, it's like, no, you listen to me. He doesn't classify this correctly. This wasn't a food stash, it was a nest.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you effing listen. It was a mother Aaron. It had children. Those children are out there now and they're hungry.
Yeah.
If this town is going to survive, we're going to have to kill them and fast. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought she's going to kill the monster. That's going to wrap up book 1. It's like, no, volume 2 goes into, oh, that thing we just killed. Yeah, it had babies.
Yeah.
It's like, fantastic. It's like, awesome. That's good to know. But
Yay, more of them.
But it's a very intriguing, very good, very simplistic first volume. It's enough to just get you in the door.
Dude, if this doesn't get made into a TV show,
I'm surprised it hasn't already.
I mean, it is like it has TV show or movie written all over it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I would imagine that there's plans for it down the line, or at least I would
Yeah,
think so.
yeah. It. I really really like this one. Like I said, this is probably one of my favorite ones that we've done so far. I was hooked from like the first page all the way to the end because I read it in 2 sittings.
Yeah,
And yeah, I really liked it. I thought the character development, the writing was great.
yeah. It was really well done, really well written, really well put together. The art was really good, really just on edge,
Mhm.
just off-putting.
Yeah,
Um, really intriguing story. It kept its good horror elements, a good monster, good situation with killing the kids, putting all that
mhm,
together, but also had a much intriguing, bigger story taking place.
yeah,
I would definitely highly recommend this if you're a fan of horror comics and horror stuff. Absolutely, even if you're not, I think the story's enough there to kind of keep you hooked and latched into
agreed.
it.
Yeah, agreed. It was awesome. It's a really, really good read, and it's super cheap on Amazon. If you don't want to go into your local comic store to get it, it's super cheap on Amazon.
Yeah,
I think I
absolutely.
got mine for like $13, so
Yeah,
it
it's
wasn't
not
bad at
too
all.
expensive. It's pretty decent. So that's definitely one to check out if you want to pick it up yourself. Oop, how's far actually in the chat? I'll put the link in there again. Click on that link for our Amazon wish list, and that'll take you there to go through all the books that we've done. This is our 6th book we've done in the series so far.
Hmm. Dang, I can't believe it's been that many.
Yeah, because we did Lock and Key, Claws, Chew, Spencer and Locke, Invincible, and now Something is Killing the Children.
I gotta start my annual read of Klaus.
Yeah, man, absolutely, the big Christmas story. When kids get old enough, I can start reading it to them.
I know, right?
The real
That's
Santa
the whole
Claus.
goal.
Matthew really wants to come in and say hi.
Yeah, Lock and Key was great, man.
I'd ask.
You
was
can come and
awesome.
Say hi at least briefly.
Yep. Okay.
Apparently, I was getting visitors today.
I
Hey, buddy.
love visitors. Visitors are awesome, man.
Say hi.
There we go. What's up, man? What's up, dude?
Oh, you being shy?
What's up, man? Oh, you don't have to cover your face, bro.
Saying hi, Uncle Nitro?
What's up?
Oh, you being shy?
What's up, little dude?
Yeah. But hey, everyone, say hi. This is my oldest son. He is the one that has autism, the one that we're going to be raising funds for, to get him a service dog when we do our 12-hour stream. Oh, don't touch stuff.
Don't touch anything, buddy.
So he wanted to come in and say hi. Apparently, you see yourself in the mirror. You see yourself in the camera. You try to work it where you are. Yeah. See, look, it's up here. And it goes over there.
Let's do the pocket.
No, we're not gonna touch stuff, buddy. All right, time to go out.
Yep.
Love you.
See you, bud.
Yep. Come here. Uh-huh. I know. You opened them already. Okay, come on.
I'll let my wife handle that one.
Mommy did.
But yeah, this is definitely an awesome series. Definitely worth checking
Yes.
out.
Yes.
I'm definitely highly recommend Something is Killing the Children. It's something that I want to definitely keep delving into.
Yeah. I want to get volume 2, man. I want to see what happens.
Yeah, that's it. I need to see what happens down in a small town. I need to get some more answers as well about who the House of Slaughter are and
Mhm.
more about Erica's backstory.
Let's go downstairs.
Oh, one sec.
Yeah, man. I'm looking up House of Slaughter right now, and it looks super interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a spin-off of it, but the thing is, like, I think it's a few volumes in to like Something is Killing the Children, so maybe want to wait to pick up.
Yeah.
Sorry, so making sure my son leaves.
No worries.
It'll be like nothing but background noise. Yeah, sorry, he gets hyper focus on stuff, guys. For anyone that doesn't know, he's autistic, so you can get hyper focus, so it can be really difficult for him to like leave. He really wanted to come and say hi. to everyone, but he got super kind of fixated on staying in here. But yeah, he's the one that we're raising money for the service dog that we're going to be doing the stream fundraiser for in April, just to kind of help him out. But yeah, so you got to see both my sons on stream today, just missing my daughter.
The dude kind of day.
But yeah, absolutely, Something's Killing the Children is a phenomenal book, definitely worth checking out. Honestly, for the most part, I don't think we've had a book on the series on Indie Comic Book Club that's been bad.
The only one that I was like, meh, was Chew.
Yeah.
I couldn't really get into Chew a ton. Just
yeah,
in
definitely
hindsight.
get into it as much as the rest, but even then it wasn't bad necessarily.
No, it wasn't bad.
You know, so, and that's the whole point of doing this show, is to find all these awesome comics that are out there.
Yeah.
I'm super hyped for December
Dude, I'm excited.
get into Usagi Yojimbo. Give you a little look, 'cause that's the cover, but a little look at the artwork inside.
So sweet.
Yeah, very cool. Very.
I might have to do a Usagi piece with full samurai armor. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, man, go for it. Yeah.
Dude, it looks gigantic though.
Yeah, like that's the.
Good grief.
But it's also smaller as well. It's more smaller and chunkier.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
I'm
although
so pumped for
although
that.
it's thicker, it is smaller pages. So. Oh, here you go. Blurb off the back of it. The only reason I'm reading it out is because I realise it comes from Will Eisner, who we just spoke about, like Eisner Awards for comics. Stan Sakai has successfully brought to American comics a collection of Japanese fables, well told in the American style. Usagi Yojimbo is an enduring work. Bravo. And I honestly can't wait to get into this, because again, I'm enjoying the Indie Comic Book Club because everyone is a little bit different. Everyone's
Well, I would have never gotten into this type of stuff unless we started this. For real.
Well, yeah, because the thing comics are known for is superheroes. So it's like
Yeah.
Marvel and DC are the kings. Of there's so many other ones out there, and it's like, we've went from that. We've done, gritty horror stories to detective stories to superhero that are out with the normal scope of things to now we're going into feudal Japan samurai with anthropomorphic animals. It's like,
Yeah.
it's there's so many different things out there. It's like precautions for your podcast next Sunday since it's Halloween. We're actually not going to be on next week. We're off next week.
But I was actually going to come as William Wallace, but
Hey, I'm still waiting for you to send me that video. Just saying.
well, I didn't know it was time for me to go. I'll do it. Shoot.
The only
I have
one-
everything recorded.
The only one that sent me a video for it is Isaac. Everyone else, even after I reminded them, cowered out of it.
To be fair, you told me to hold off
I did tell you to
mine.
hold off. You were going to do it.
because I had mine pretty much ready.
So props to you and props to Isaac from Infinity Bros for doing that. But like anyone else that was in the losing teams did not do it and did not send it to me. And that's over a year ago. So I don't think I'm going to get it at this point.
It's hilarious. It was almost a year ago.
But
Oh, man.
yeah, but that's it for today. I think that's it. Unless you had any closing thoughts, any final thoughts on Something Is Killing the Children.
No, man, pick it up if you like horror, or even if you don't like horror, but you like good stories, like mysteries. I would definitely pick it up. Like I said, it's if you don't want to go to your local comic shop or you don't have one locally, you pick it up off Amazon. It's like $13, and it's a really, really cool read.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I would say the same. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I think it definitely deserves the hype it's been getting. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. We're obviously only 5 issues in off of Volume 1, so I'm excited to pick up the next couple of volumes and see what they
And
do
I
with
looked,
it.
and they have 4 volumes. It looks like so.
Is it 4 volumes out now?
Yeah,
I
it
thought
looks
was
like
3, but yeah. I'm definitely excited for that.
Yeah, man.
So let's do the typical rundown to close out the show then.
Let's do it.
Remember, if you want to support us financially, you can go over and support us on our Ko-fi page, kofi.com/comics and the cross. Go over there, you can support us, you can donate once off, you can set up a monthly giving over there for us, and you can also reach out to Nitro on there for commissions on logos, art pieces, special commissions, whole bunch of stuff, so make sure that you do that. I will say this up front for Nitro, and I'm speaking on his behalf. I've not asked him about this, but I'm going to say this from right now. If you're commissioning him for something, especially for a stream or a commission, contact him through Ko-fi now.
Yep.
And I'm saying this as a warning to people out there, because we've had some people jipping him about in terms of some of the artwork he's doing. I'm not going to name names, I'm not going to rat anybody out, but basically he's done the work and he's not been getting the money he's owed for it. He's too good of a man to speak up about that, but it's pissed me off, something awful, and I'm not going to let my best friend get rubbed around like that. So if you want to get his commissions, you go through our Ko-fi page and you pay him. The man does good work, you pay him what he's due for it, even if you have to pay half and half up front, half at the end. But no, I'm not letting him get gypped about it anymore. So you want a commissions, you do it through there.
Appreciate it, bro.
You know, this man does good work. I want to make sure he gets paid what he's owed for it. It's like, you might think the commissions are high there, but if you've seen his work, then you know he's worth the payment. You know he's worth giving the money to for it. So if you want to come to him for it, absolutely, but you make sure you've got the coin in hand, or you know that when he's going to be finished, he needs that. Yeah, absolutely, guys.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's not a massive thing. I want to mention it on stream. I've kind of held off, but since I'm mentioning these commissions, I want to briefly mention it. If we've had people commission them for stuff like logos or art pieces, and then they've kind of like, they've started making the little bit of excuses of not paying them when it was due, and it's like, it's been going on a little bit now for some of them, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm not letting that happen to them anymore. If you want it, go through the Ko-fi site, where you're going to have to pay if you want that commission.
Yeah, and just a heads up, like for the Ko-fi stuff, just because of how much it costs and how much time it costs to do the art. We do, like, most of that goes to me, most of it goes to actually producing everything, but we still do like 15% off the top goes straight to Comics and the Cross. So for support to support the stream. So
yeah, and we appreciate that, and I like to say thank you to Nitro for that, because I 100% gave him the opportunity not to have to do that. I told him just to keep it all, but he wanted to give some towards the channel and keep it going as well, so I appreciate that, brother. But yeah, this man deserves to be paid for the great work he does, because like, if you've seen him do the commissions on stream, that can sometimes be like 3, 4, 5 weeks of like art streams, which can be like 2-3 hours a piece.
Yeah,
sometimes a bit longer, and that's not including the stuff he does off stream for it as well to prep for it. So it's like, yeah, this man puts a lot of work into his commissions, and if you've seen the commissions he's done, they turn out phenomenal. So yeah, he deserves to be paid for them. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. Not a massive thing for it, but just, same for Nitro, same for any artist. If you're commissioning an artist to do something, pay them. You're getting them to work, pay them for the work that they're doing, Either that, or go take classes and learn to do it yourself. Otherwise, pay them for their craft, Sorry, rant. I just had to get that out. That's something that's been in my craw for a few weeks now. Like, I had to keep mentioning that. But yeah, so you can support us over on the Ko-fi page, either via donations, via monthly giving, or via commissions. There is usually exclusive content going up there. I'm not going to lie, I've been kind of slacking on the exclusive content on our Ko-fi page, because I have basically been in a sleep deprived state for about a month now, if not longer, like full blown sleep deprived at this point practically.
I'm gonna be putting up some more stuff for like Twitch emojis, Twitch stuff too.
Oh, so sweet. So keep an eye on the Ko-fi page for that. Also, another way you can support us and also help your own comic collecting habits, if you do have them, which I hope you do, because comics are amazing and you should collect them.
Of course.
You can go and check out our official sponsors, BCW, at that link there. And you can also use Comics Cross at checkout to save yourself 10%. You need to get some long boxes, short boxes, bags and boards, picture frames, whatever you need for your comics, or if you're also a collector of CDs, records, playing cards, you play stuff like Magic the Gathering, collect Pokemon cards, anything like that, anything at all that's a collectible, if you have sports memorabilia, anything like that, BCW is your one-stop shop for all of that stuff. So make sure you go and check them out, and also it kicks a little bit of money towards us. Just even clicking on that link kicks a couple of cents towards us. But anything that you do and buy there and use the Comics Cross at checkout, it gives us a commission. So Absolutely love it if you would go there and check them out. And they're amazing. They're the people that I use. I don't know if you can see it where my border is, but my long box down here is BCW, and BCW is what I use for collecting my own stuff. That was long
I got
before,
BCW as well.
long before we were supported by them. Like, they are just good quality stuff. Let me catch up with chats for that. Love you too, Watson. Thank you so much for the love for both myself and Nitro. I appreciate it. He likes Locke as well. We like Locke too.
Sorry, Locke. Short end of the stick.
But absolutely, guys, absolutely had an amazing show today.
Man.
My lovely wifey, who you got to see dropping off kiddos today, is going to be back on stream tomorrow night, continuing her playthrough of Bioshock. We're about 3 weeks into it now. We took a week off last week with everything, but she is going to be back at it tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern Time. And then Nitro, you're going to be back on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I'll be back on Tuesday night. We're going to be working on the Ninja Turtles piece.
We
had a lot of fun last week, and we met a lot of new people playing Fallout. So I might make that an every other week thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, definitely go for it, man. If you missed him playing Fallout, I'm going to be chucking it up on YouTube soon. I've got the video down. I just need to finish editing it. So yeah, Nitro played a little bit of Fallout and had a whole bunch of new people come in chat that I did not recognise. I've never been more terrified of all these new faces showing up worrying, are you a bot, are you a bot, are you a bot? But they all started chatting and they all were quite happy and content. And it's like, oh, these are all real people. This is awesome.
Yeah, one of them hooked me up with like a free weapon, like told me how to get a free weapon at the beginning of the game. So that was pretty sweet.
Dude, they were all like helping you out, man. I like that. It's like these were all like hardcore like Fallout nuts that just showed up.
Yeah, like one person that put like 1,600 hours into it. I'm like, holy word! I don't know if I've ever done that to a game in my life, but that was awesome.
I don't know if I've ever had that time to put into a game.
I know.
I wish I did, but like seriously.
I know.
But yeah, like, but I'm definitely up for you doing a bit more gaming streams and stuff. Yeah. And also look for the return of crossplay as well. It will no longer be Monday night crossplay. It's just going to be crossplay because I'm actually going to be moving it to Tuesday mornings. My plan was for November. I don't know if it's going to happen in November. I'm not going to lie. Because it's also kind of based upon when the little dude starts to sleep better, and I actually sleep because both of my older kids go to school on Tuesday mornings. So I've got the opportunity to nap, which has been lovely. It's been so good.
What's a nap?
So like, I want to like get a good energy about me, so I can finally like jump back into like gaming, because I need to finish off Kingdom Hearts first of all. We're pretty much right at the end of it, but I really wanted to start spooky season with Bioshock with MJ. But I want to get back into that, and then also either continue Kingdom Hearts or honestly I'm kind of thinking about maybe jumping into the Batman games. I've got the Batman trilogy.
Dude, do it.
So I'm thinking of maybe jumping into Batman Arkham Asylum because I've not played that in so long. And interchange that out just because I don't know if I can do Kingdom Hearts back to back. Because like before I finished up like where I was, like before Bioshock took over, like I was getting legitimately frustrated at that game.
It's the end of that game is incredibly, in my opinion, is incredibly difficult.
I'm terrified to do this final boss, and I'm not looking forward to it.
All right, so I will say this: I don't think the end boss is the hardest boss in the game. I'll put it that way. I think the dude from Fantasia, the big demon dude, I think, in my opinion, him and Ursula are the hardest bosses in the whole game.
Oh yeah, like the big guy was like he was ridiculous. I think it was was a Hallowed Foxman that came in, and like he told me start using the Tinkerbell boost because it heals you during it. Like that was a game changer. Like see once I had that and I didn't have to keep healing myself, like she just kept doing it. Yeah, it just freed up so much time and just kept me going longer. And I'm like, I would not have got through it without that boost. So massive shout out to Hallowed Foxman for helping me on that one, because I don't know if I'd have got through the fight without him, to be honest. Hey Logical Robot, how is it going? You were here lurking. Absolutely love it. Love our lurkers. Love our people that hang out with us during the show. Appreciate it. But yeah, that's it for this upcoming week. Next Sunday, actually next 2 Sundays, we're not going to be here.
We are off.
We are taking it off because we are both daddies. We are both got kiddos, and next week is Halloween, so we are going to be taking our kiddos trick or treating, spending some time, doing some family time with them. Because my kids are basically going to be trick or treating around about this time. And then the following week, Nitro's got some family coming in from out of town, and it is actually my littlest's birthday. He is going to be
Nice.
a year old, so we're going to be celebrating that Sunday. So
There,
we will then be returning. Let me. Wait.
there is a very, very, very small possibility that I might be on the 7th, depending on if family's still in town. But if it is, we'll let the Comic Clan know. We'll let everybody know.
Yeah, we'll update everyone if that changes. But right now, just run as if it's off because I don't want to put the pressure on there and then sweep it
Yeah.
out from under people.
Yep.
Let me shout out these then. But we will be returning on the 14th. Which, if everything goes well for that, should actually be our Eternals review, because hopefully we'll have seen Eternals at that point, because it'll have been out for about a week at that point. So hopefully we'll have gotten a chance to see that. At least that's the plan at the moment. We'll see how that goes out. And then the following week, I need to shout that out, the 21st, because as I throw it up on screen here, we are actually going to be here and on Facebook at the Terminus Media Facebook page, as Nitro and I will be hosting.
Crazy. Just crazy.
We'll be hosting Christensen Comics and Animation panel live, 1 o'clock to 4 p.m. And talking to some freaking amazing names.
And they know who we are and the type of stuff that we've produced. So
Yeah.
the fact that we're still doing this just blowing my mind right now.
So we are talking to people who are like legitimately big in animation, who have worked on animation for Disney, who have directed Disney movies, who have worked in Marvel and DC. One of the guys who does the Action Bible has worked in the literal Marvel bullpen from Days Gone. Like this is phenomenal, you know. Where's my podcast? There we go. So I'll try to bring us back up on screen there. So that is going to be taking place on the 21st. So we have a massive couple of weeks. You might have 2 weeks off of us, but we're coming back strong with a good couple of shows. I feel like
Yes.
coming back with an Eternals review and then the massive panel Dr. Baron Bell has asked us to host, and has given us the honour of not only hosting but also hosting here on Twitch. Like, it was meant to be taking place in Terminus Media, and he was the one that actually asked us if we could host it on Twitch in our channel as well. So help us promote this, guys. Help us get some word out there for anyone who's big fans of animation or comic books or anything like that wants to be involved and check it out, that they can come here to twitch.tv/comics in the cross and check it out, or head over to Facebook to Terminus Media, and it'll be on both those pages. So yeah, we've got a lot of big stuff coming up, man. We got
some crazy stuff coming up, man.
See, I know the stuff is coming up. That's why I don't begrudge taking a couple of weeks off and the next couple of Sundays, because we got some big stuff happening.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be awesome.
All right, so let me head over to Twitch, and see who is live, so we can go and drop a raid on someone.
Do this.
Massive hair in my mouth there. That was not pleasant. Still there. Ah, horrible. Go away. Stuck with my teeth in it. I'm being
Ew.
attacked. That is not
Being attacked
fun.
by the rogue hair.
That is not fun, not in the least. Let me see who is on. You go read Brisk Brit. She's playing a little bit of Fortnite, but she's someone I've been kind of checking out recently. Who's actually part of the Armor of God esports,
Nice.
who we are actually part of as well. I need to get their logo up here somewhere. I just need to find a place to put it. That's one of the ones I need to do. But yeah, let's go show her some love, because we've not raided in on her yet. Make sure I get that spelling right as well. Let me pull it up. Brisk Brit. Alright, guys, so if you're able to hang around, let's go and show Brisk Brit some love. Go and drop her a follow if you've not. She's part of the Armor of God esports team, which technically we are as well. I still don't know how we ever got agreed into that, because they've clearly never seen us play competitively. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just waiting. It's going to be like the guy that gets benched like forever, and then the rest of the team gets wrecked and we're called in. Like, so I don't know how we got roped into that, but we are part of it. So we're going to go show her some love. Go drop her a follow. Go drop her some love, and get some of the raid hype. I don't know why that does that now and doesn't bring up the emotes for me. I need to like reset the thing. But use the raid, the hype, the stan emote, and your burden with glorious purpose to go ahead and show some love.
There we go.
There we go. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that, Nitro. I don't know what's going on. I need to reset it in the chat bot, apparently. But go show her some love, and we will see you all tomorrow night. Remember, it's a good week to be a geek. Take care.
You guys, have a good weekend.
Zero miedo. I got no fear. Zero miedo. I got it here. Zero miedo. Now I can cheer. Zero fear. Zero fear. Zero miedo. I got no fear. Zero miedo. I got it here. Zero miedo. Now I can cheer. Zero fear. Zero fear.